Hi, I'm Brian Jones.
I'm Bill Foster.
I'm Luke Greer.
I'm Ubaldo Garcia.
I'm Aaron Frith.
We're the ground controllers on the final shuttle mission.
And you're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, Atlantis, and a special good morning to you today, Doug.
Good morning, Houston. Thanks, Shannon. I'd like to thank my wife, Karen, and my son, Jack, for that great song. They know I really like it. And also like to say hi to my mom and dad and my brother and his family in upstate New York. We are getting ready for undock today. We get to do one last lap with Atlantis around the ISS and then start our trip home. Thanks, Houston.
Sounds great, Atlantis. Have a good fly around. And while I have you, the execute package is on board and printing. Your go to change out both image cards in the KFX machine, and your go for Outlook.
Capcom Shannon Lucid there talking with pilot Doug Hurley, sending up the crew's wake-up call for the day. That came in the form of Don't Panic by Coldplay, and the song was played for pilot Doug Hurley. Hurley's going to be behind the wheel of Atlantis for today's undocking, first moving it away from the International Space Station and then steering it in a half lap around the station for the final fly around of the station by a space shuttle.
This is Mission Control Houston, 10 days, 13 hours, 5 minutes into the flight of Atlantis to the International Space Station. There is the docking interface. At the top, the black conical device is pressurized mating adapter number 2, the docking port to which shuttles have docked for more than a decade now. At the bottom is the orbiter docking system. At the forward portion of the payload bay, right behind the aft bulkhead, or the crew compartment of the orbiter. Hooks and latches will begin to disengage just about a minute or two before physical separation of the two vehicles, which will be induced by springs on both sides of the docking interface, pushing off against one another to create a separation rate of about 1/10 of a foot per second. There will be 2 separation burns that will be conducted by pilot Doug Hurley, who will be flying Atlantis from the aft flight deck, basically minor pulses of the reaction control system jets to induce a larger opening rate.
Ready for the item 16.
The shuttle Atlantis, in the home stretch of its 33rd and final mission of its 26-year career. A good look at the flight deck windows and the nose of Atlantis. That nose, the reinforced carbon-carbon on the nose cap of Atlantis will be one of the areas of inspection in the late inspection that will be conducted after the undocking, fly-around, and final separation activities are completed. The crew, Commander Chris Ferguson, pilot Doug Hurley, and mission specialist Sandy Magnus will be taking turns at the aft flight deck of the orbiter in the final use of the Space Shuttle's robotic arm and the attached orbiter boom sensor system extension that will be used to inspect the starboard wing, the leading edge of the starboard wing and its reinforced carbon-carbon, the nose cap of Atlantis, and then the port wing of the orbiter before the boom is berthed for the final time on the starboard sill of Atlantis, just preceding the final berthing of the Space Shuttle's robotic arm to complete 30 years of work by that arm in support of Space Shuttle missions.
Physical separation, Houston.
Houston, copy.
Undocking confirmed at 1:28 a.m. Central Time. Atlantis weighs anchor from the International Space Station for the last time. 12.5 years of shuttle missions to build and service a million-pound complex at an end. Rendezvous officer reports a good opening rate for Atlantis.
Atlantis, station is in attitude control. Atlantis copies, thanks.
Through the centerline camera in the orbiter docking system, you're looking at sequential still video of the docking port, pressurized mating adapter number 2 that Atlantis is backing away from. Atlantis now 30 feet away from the docking interface with the International Space Station, everything looking good.
Atlantis departing the International Space Station for the last time. Thank you for your 12 dock missions to the ISS and for capping off 37 space shuttle missions to construct this incredible orbiting research facility. We'll miss you guys. Godspeed, soft landing, and we'll see you back on Earth in the fall.
Hey, thanks, Ron, USOS lead, and to the station commander, Andrei Borisenko. We appreciate your hospitality again. Hey, when a generation accomplishes a great thing, it's got a right to stand back and for just a moment admire and take pride in its work. From our unique vantage point right here perched above the Earth, we can see the International Space Station is a wonderful accomplishment. It was born at the end of the Cold War. It's enabled many nations to speak one in space. As the ISS now enters the era of utilization, we'll never forget the role the Space Shuttle played in its creation. Like a proud parent, we anticipate great things to follow from the men and women who build, operate, and live there. From this unique vantage point, we can see a great thing has been accomplished. Farewell, ISS. Make us proud.
Tinged with the finality of the moment, words from Ron Garan, NASA flight engineer aboard the International Space Station, and Atlantis Commander Chris Ferguson. As Atlantis continues to move away from the complex, currently at a distance of 71 feet, moving ultimately to a point about 600 feet directly in front of the station for a period of 27 minutes of station keeping to enable the station to yaw 90 degrees prior to the start of a half-lap fly-around by pilot Doug Hurley from Atlantis' aft flight deck. Commander Chris Ferguson has now taken the shuttle communication systems out of radar mode and put them back into comm mode, as it's called, enabling us to have downlink television from the orbiter. Atlantis now just over 400 feet in front of the International Space Station. 37 visits of space shuttles to this complex, beginning with Endeavour in December of 1998 on the STS-88 mission that was commanded by the now director of the Kennedy Space Center, Bob Cabana. That was the joining of the Zarya module that had been launched a month earlier from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan with the Unity connecting node, or Node 1, that still exists as the juncture between the U.S. and Russian segments of the International Space Station. The 3 spacewalks by Jerry Ross and Jim Newman helped assemble those modules to set the stage for the flights that would follow. The first docking of Atlantis to the International Space Station came in May of 2000, 2 months prior to the launching of the Zvezda service module, the first living quarters for the International Space Station. The STS-101 mission, commanded by Jim Halsell, delivered 1.5 tons of supplies, refurbished electrical, environmental, and communication systems in both Zarya and Unity, and delivered the Expedition 2 crew to the complex, Jim Voss, Susan Helms, and Yuri Usachov. The rendezvous officer here in Mission Control reports that we're at 525 feet, should reach that 600-foot bingo point for station keeping about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes ahead of schedule. The coordination between the shuttle and station flight control rooms then will give the go for Russian thrusters to initiate this 90-degree yaw maneuver for the International Space Station. We also are about 8 minutes away from an orbital sunrise.
Houston and station Atlantis is at 600 feet.
Houston copies.
Copy, 600 feet.
Atlantis and the International Space Station moving into an orbital sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean. We should be hearing the initiation of the 90-degree yaw maneuver momentarily from the Space Station Flight Control Room and Flight Director Jerry Jason. This yaw maneuver will be conducted by Russian thrusters to place the longitudinal axis right in the field of view of Atlantis for the fly-around of a half lap by pilot Doug Hurley.
Atlantis Houston, the station maneuver has begun.
Atlantis copies.
Atlantis station keeping now for a period of about 32 minutes while the International Space Station slowly yaws 90 degrees. Once the station has completed this unique maneuver, Atlantis will begin to fly to a position directly above the International Space Station, then behind the station, maintaining a radial distance of 600 feet.
For your SA, estimated time of completion of the maneuver, about 26 minutes. Okay, we copy on the big loop, 26 minutes to maneuver 90 degrees.
The 26 minutes represents the minimal time.
But it moves really slow. Well, we're trying to give Doug a chance in this fight, so. Hey, what do you want, speed or accuracy? Fight's on.
You saw the jets on Atlantis' nose firing to maintain its station-keeping orientation. These 2 vehicles, so instrumental in human spaceflight over the past 30 years, and for the International Space Station over the course of its lifetime, looking at one another, admiring one another at a distance of 600 feet, while the station yaws to an orientation for one final lap by Atlantis to document the longitudinal axis, the modules, and some of the components of the International Space Station that other shuttle fly-arounds have not had an opportunity to have a view of. Atlantis and the International Space Station flying 241 miles over the border between Spain and Portugal. This view now from The television cameras on Atlantis looking back at the International Space Station as it continues its yaw maneuver. This is Mission Control Houston in the Space Station Flight Control Room. The Power Systems Officer is reporting to Flight Director Jerry Jason some shadowing on some of the struts for the solar arrays. This is known as longeron shadowing. Although they haven't broken the threshold yet, they're watching that very carefully. About 8.5 more minutes for this yaw maneuver. If, in fact, they do break the longeron shadowing threshold, in other words, temperatures affecting the struts on the solar arrays, we have fairly tight limits on how cold those struts can get. But if the shadowing does occur to a point that we don't feel comfortable, we'll just stop the maneuver and Atlantis will begin its fly around. However, we are continuing the maneuver at this point. You can see this extremely unique view of the International Space Station as Atlantis sits just over 600 feet away. On the far left, docked to the aft end of the Zvezda service module, that is the ISS Progress 43 resupply ship that arrived at the International Space Station on June 23rd. The two vehicles that are docked at opposite ports vertically to the longitudinal axis of the station. The space-facing side belongs to the Poisk module. Docked to the zenith port of the service module is the Poisk. That is the 26 Soyuz vehicle that arrived on April 6th, or the Soyuz TMA-21. That is the vehicle for Andrei Borisenko, Alexander Samokhutyaev, and Ron Garin. Directly opposite that, on the Earth-facing port, that is the Pirs docking compartment. That is the residence at the moment for the ISS Progress 42 resupply ship that arrived on April 29th. And next to it, sort of in the middle of the longitudinal axis, that is the Rosviet module and the home of the 27 Soyuz vehicle, or the Soyuz TMA-02M spacecraft that delivered Sergei Volkov, Satoshi Furukawa, and Mike Fossum to the International Space Station in early June. At the aft flight deck of Atlantis, pilot Doug Hurley is at the controls as he continues the fly around that will take Atlantis to a point about 645 or so feet directly above the International Space Station a short time from now, then to a point behind the station for the first of two firings of reaction control system jets in a two-step separation maneuver that will enable Atlantis to depart the station for the final time. Sandy Magnus and Rex Walheim are equipped with a variety of digital cameras and high-powered lenses. They are documenting the exterior of the International Space Station at this unique view, where the longitudinal axis of the station is being presented to them thanks to this 90-degree yaw maneuver. On the far right of the axis of the space station, that is the Harmony module in the horizontal position. Basically, as you look at this view, that's where Atlantis was docked to. And on either side, those two large modules. At the bottom is the European Space Agency's Columbus laboratory. And on the top of Harmony, as you look at this view from directly above the space station, is the large Japanese segment of the complex, the Kibo module, and its external experiment platform. Atlantis now beginning to move to a position behind the space station, maintaining a radial distance of about 685 feet or so. The fly around going very well, and all of the space station systems looking good.
Okay, reflector 3, Steve, and we're seeing about 685 on the range on the HHL. It's been pretty consistent.
Copy.
You can see the jets firing on Atlantis. Doug Hurley in control of the aft flight deck. Atlantis and the International Space Station separated by 685 feet, flying over the Indonesian island chain.
Atlanta Station on the big loop. We see you from Sergey's bedroom window. That's great news. Thanks, station. You guys look good from here.
Flight engineer Ron Garin admiring the view of Atlantis. Chris Ferguson responding. Doug Hurley busy flying Atlantis at the moment. The orbiter is behind the International Space Station. We're about 6 minutes away from the first of 2 separation maneuvers. The first burn, a SEP-1 burn, is a 1.5 foot per second radial downward burn that will enable Atlantis to move to a position directly below the station for the final separation burn, a SEP-2 burn, which is a larger component, 10 feet per second, a retrograde burn that will enable Atlantis to depart the station for the final time. And through the shuttle's S-band communication system, the sequential still video view, this is a frame refreshed view in the absence of a downlink KU band capability at the moment from Atlantis, looking back at the station, which will maneuver back into its normal orientation following a final separation maneuver. We're about 24 seconds away from the first separation burn by pilot Doug Hurley. This will be a 1.5 foot per second radial down burn.
Block 8 Bravo.
Copy. We're with you in 8 Bravo.
This will be about a 4-second burst of the reaction control system jets. And you saw the jets firing. The SEP-1 burn complete.
And ISS Atlantis on the big loop. We're essentially complete with our fly around. We'll be coming out underneath you and should have a good view from the cupola. I'm not sure when we're going to break down the big loop, but if it's anytime soon, we just wanted to give you a final goodbye. Hey, thanks, Fergie. We'll be watching you from the SM windows, and you guys look really good on the fly around from what we can see. And again, thank you so much for all that you guys have done for us up here. We really, really appreciate it.
You couldn't script it any better, but as Atlantis flies into an orbital sunset, about to execute its second separation burn, Ron Garin communicating with Chris Ferguson as Atlantis approaches a point directly below the International Space Station. That second separation burn will be noted as both Ferguson and Garin, who heads up U.S. orbital segment operations as one of the 2 NASA flight engineers on board the International Space Station, along with Mike Fossum. The station crew is watching this activity now out of the Zvezda service module windows, their best vantage point for this particular orientation of the station relative to Atlantis. Atlantis moments away from departing from the International Space Station for the final time, having undocked almost an hour and a half ago. The fly around is essentially complete. There'll be one more burst of the reaction control system jets. That coming in 21 minutes to complete Atlantis' 12th and final visit to the International Space Station.
Atlantis, Houston, on the big loop. Hey, go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Fergie, from the ULF-7 Orbit 1 team in the ISS Mission Control Room here in Houston. We just want to let you know that it's been our pleasure and honor to support this, the 37th mission of the Space Shuttle to the ISS. And we're proud to be the last in a countless line of mission control teams that have had the honor to watch over the ISS while Discovery and Endeavour and Atlantis have visited over the last 13 years. From this room, we've watched and supported as the shuttle has enabled the station to grow from a humble single module that was grappled by the shuttle's arm to a stunning facility that is so large that some astronauts have even momentarily gotten lost in it. You can take it from me. So, of course, the ISS wouldn't be here without the space shuttle. So, while we have the communication link up for the last time, we wanted to say thank you and farewell to the magnificent machines that delivered, assembled, and staffed our world-class laboratory in space. So Fergie, Chunky, Sandy, and Rex, get her home safely and enjoy the last couple days in Space Shuttle Atlantis.
Hey, Dan, and to the whole Ficker 1 team and the Orbit 1 team, Jerry, from Jerry on down, we do appreciate those great words. You know, it's been an incredible ride, and I think on behalf of the four of us, we're really appreciative that we had the opportunity to work with you, and we're extremely fortunate to have taken part in this pivotal mission. We're looking forward to in a couple days to meeting up with most of you and patting you on the back and sharing some of the stories, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we hope we successfully hid from you. But believe me, there was a little bit of pandemonium between what appeared to be all the calm. And we're glad to be headed home, and we're happy to serve with you. We'll see you, Dan.
Fergie, thanks a million. We'll see you back home. Take care. Have a safe flight.
Veteran astronaut and former expedition crew member Dan Tawney in the Space Station Flight Control Room with an opportunity to say farewell to Space Shuttle Atlantis and its commander Chris Ferguson as Atlantis is moments away from firing its reaction control system jets, having completed the fly-around, a textbook fly-around by pilot Doug Hurley. With the departure of Atlantis from the International Space Station, the final big-ticket item for the day will be the late inspection of Atlantis' thermal protection heat shield, a view of the orbiter boom sensor system at the end of the shuttle's robotic arm, which is being maneuvered into the correct position over the port sill of the orbiter to accommodate the calibration of the sensors and cameras at the end of this boom extension, the inspection boom, that will be the focus of activity for the second half of the crew's workday, as they conduct one final inspection of Atlantis' heat shield and one final set of data for the imagery analysts here at the Johnson Space Center as they continue to work as they do every mission right up until the day before landing to evaluate the health of the thermal protection system prior to Atlantis' return to Earth. You can see at the bottom of your screen the Raffaello multi-purpose logistics module, which is filled with about 2.5 tons of items that were no longer needed on the International Space Station. It was removed, detached from the Harmony module yesterday morning and placed back down into the payload bay for the trip back to Earth. Behind it is a failed pump module that was removed from the Space Station's external stowage platform last week, a week ago, during a spacewalk by station flight engineers Mike Fossum and Ron Guerin. It will be returned to Earth aboard Atlantis for evaluation and analysis by engineers, likely to be refurbished and reflown to the International Space Station as a spare.
Well, Houston, this scan of Atlantis' heat shield continues today. This is the final one. This is just making sure that everything is ready to support Atlantis' landing coming up on Thursday morning at 4:56 a.m. Central Time. As this inspection continues, Atlantis is currently 239 miles above Africa, heading down toward the southeast. They're over parts of Chad and the Sudan. There are some opportunities to spot Atlantis in the night sky above your hometown early tomorrow morning if you're in North America. We invite you to log on to spaceflight.nasa.gov. Once again, spaceflight.nasa.gov. Once you're there, just click on the button at the top that says real-time data. Once you select that, there will be a menu that pops out underneath that. Just click on sighting opportunities and then follow the instructions on the left side of the screen. You'll be able to select your home state and then your hometown. Some of the passes last upwards of 3 to 4 minutes, but we encourage you to do this because obviously this is the last time you will ever be able to see the shuttle flying over your hometown. Both it and the station are quite a sight to see if you've never done that. The robotics officer here inside the shuttle room is confirming to Orbit 2 Flight Director Rick LeBrode that everything's been wrapped up in terms of the wing survey and the nose cap survey. The orbiter boom sensor system is now in what they call the low hover position, so it will be
in the Obis birth procedure.
It's going to be installed back into the payload bay here momentarily.
We think that closes us out for PDRS if you agree.
We agree. Great work.
Hey, I think Ian Young might be the Orbit 2 guy. Thanks for all your help today. I think things went pretty smoothly. Bill Miller was our instructor, and he did a fantastic job. And, you know, inspection results notwithstanding, that may be the last time we put both of those big, long arms away. And they've served us well. One of them for about 6 years, one of them for about 30. And we're sorry to see them back in their cradles finally, but hey, we're happy to have completed successfully, and hopefully we don't have to pull them out again.
Chris, those are great words, and Zach Drury, your Orbit 2 PDRS, put together a little bit of history for you on the SRMS that we wanted to share with you. On November 13th, 1981, during STS-2, the SRMS was uncradled and tested for the first time. In its 30-year lifetime, it has grappled 72 payloads, deployed or retrieved 7 satellites, including retrieval and servicing of the Hubble Space Telescope 5 times. It's assisted in 115 EVAs, surveyed over 31,000 feet of RCC, and together with the SSRMS helped to build the ISS with delivery of 30 International Space Station components. Along with our Canadian friends, we celebrate this unique piece of hardware and its contributions to the Space Shuttle and Space Station programs.
Oh, hey, Megan. and that was absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much. I think they're great numbers. I really do. And, you know, once again, it's our honor and privilege, I guess, to put it to bed for the final time. Like I said, inspection notwithstanding, you know, we're sorry to see it in there, but it looks just as good as it did on day one.
We agree, and I think all of us SRMS operators are shedding a little quiet tear down here, but you guys did a great job with it, and this will be hopefully the last time it comes out.
Amen.
And Megan, I'd like to extend some thanks as well. Paul Reichert and Dave Williams were excellent trainers for Photo TV, including working our way through that playback menu and getting back to you guys efficiently, but they did a really great job. They were very patient. I had 8 million questions. The rest of the crew had another 8 million questions, and they were great at getting us the information we needed. Hopefully some of our photos turned out well. If they did, it's because of their great training. If it didn't, it's because we weren't listening hard enough. But I want to say a great big thank you to those guys. They did a great job and have for many, many flights.
Sandy, thanks for the kind words for Photo TV. We'll pass the message.